It's for the coaches, this condensed schedule here, playing on Thursday.
Yeah, we're trying to get, right now today's Tuesday, today's Tuesday for us, so we're trying to get caught up to where we should be on Tuesday, and we're pretty close to being there. It's a little bit more hours on a Sunday, than probably typical, but it's all right. We'll sleep later.
You said coming into this year that for the defense you wanted to make everything kind of black and white. It's this or it's that. Is it hard to get to that point when you have all this information that you try to get through a funnel so you can go out and practice? Because we're 3.5 days till kickoff.
Right. No, it is a challenge. It is a challenge. We're pretty well off into the season here where most teams are who they are, whether you're on offense or defense, and it's you got to make sure that the one thing you don't lose sight of in a short week like this is the fundamentals and the techniques that you got to execute that make the scheme, so we don't have sloppy play, because we neglect that stuff and focus all on the scheme. I think that's a big part of it.
When you look at BYU, offensively, what kind of stands out, and obviously seen Taysom Hill quite a few times too.
Yeah, they're talented personnel-wise. Obviously, they've done a great job in the run game. Their O-line is big, physical. Jamal is a hell of a running back. And obviously, then we got Taysom, who is a very good passer. He's got some big wide receivers, some fast wide receivers, good combination of talent out there at the wide receiver position. And then obviously he can extend plays with his legs, So we will definitely have our hands full this week on a short week. One, we got to get ourselves prepared, see the looks we need to see in practice, but we got to be fresh too when Thursday rolls around.
When you talk
a little bit about Jamal. What makes him so good? How's he different than the average running back?
Size-speed combination. I think that's what everybody's looking for when you're trying to recruit a tailback. His size-speed combination is, shoot, for us here, it's off the charts. He's very similar. You guys were just talking about Jai. In size and, like I said, in terms of speed, those guys are very similar. He is a back that has pretty good vision, and when he hits it, you could see him change speeds and go, when he sees that hole.
When you're watching these guys on tape, do you get caught up in the storylines of the games at all? Just because they've played some insanely close ball games this season.
Well, yeah, no doubt. I think you got to, in most cases, in all cases, you got to throw out, the record or whatever, and you got to look at the film and let the film tell you who a team is and what they're doing and who they are. This team, I heard it the other day. They've, lost how many ever games by 8 points or something like that, a short, very, very short margin. And you look at the teams they've played this year, and their schedule's been unbelievable. It's got to be one of the toughest in the nation. So, you throw all that out the window in terms of the win-losses every week, and especially with this team, because they're very talented and their coaches do a good job.
You look at the size and physicality of their offensive line. How does that compare to anybody else you faced this year?
You know what? It's probably going to be the biggest and the most physical when you combine that with their fullback, who does a great job as well. And their tight ends, it's probably the biggest front that we've seen so far.
Who does that really test, I guess? And I know we've talked about David Moe being smaller, for example, but who does this really test, I guess?
Well, I think obviously as individuals, we all got to do our job. So, if one person's out of their place up front, we're going to be working from behind the play to try to get caught up. But I think together as a whole, it's about how we play as a whole. It's about how we execute, how well we play with leverage, up front, how we play with the base, how we play with our hands inside, and we're able to, that's going to determine whether we're able to get off blocks or not and, fight at the line of scrimmage.
When you're playing BYU, everyone mentions physical and things like that. And sometimes that can be coded for extracurricular things. I know that was maybe a reputation BYU had, and is it different this year? And when people say that about teams, as a coach, what do you hear? When people say that about a team, is that?
No, I don't think by any means this team they're doing anything extra that's uncalled for after the snap. From what I've seen on film this year, I think these guys play very, very hard, and I think that's just, how Kalani is in his mindset, and from how he has been as a defensive coach and stuff. Obviously, you got the most utmost respect for him and what he's done as a defense coordinator, obviously as a head coach. And that's the mentality he's bringing to a whole team now, not just the defense side of the ball.
Coach Huff was saying it's basically playing a new team this year with all their new defensive, obviously, coaches and stuff. With what they're doing offensively, I know some of the players are the same, but how do they compare maybe to what they've done in the past offensively?
Yeah, I mean, so they're typically in the past they've been a zone team. You know, that's was a primary deal, and so they're still running a fair amount of zone for us in the run game. You know, they're still going to take their shots with their length on the outside. I think, you know, they've added a new wide receiver, 84, to the mix here, who has some speed now. He might be one of the fastest, if not the fastest, we've seen this year. And, you know, they got, for their offense, when you talk about you got a good quarterback and you want to get people around them, they got the length at wide receiver, they got the speed at wide receiver, you know who they got standing with them in the backfield, and they got a hell of a fullback. So, to me, that's a combination of however you're doing it. It's similar to what BYU has been for us in terms the personnel is pretty similar, you know. And now obviously how they're executing and the mentality they're doing it with is, I mean, they're pretty physical.
With Hill, obviously he's had some injuries and stuff. How do you see him maybe when he decides to take off and scramble and that kind of stuff compared to maybe previous years? Is he doing it less, or what do you see from him?
He's doing it. I mean, when he does it, he needs to do it. I'll tell you what. Jamal's pretty good back there. You know, one of the better backs we'll see. You know, period. I mean, since we've been here at Boise State, Jamal's one of the best backs, and then obviously Taysom's right there with him in terms of just being a pure runner, a ball carrier. You know.
With you guys this year have been pretty. I mean, especially since conference play started, really good on third downs. What do you credit that success to? And then, on that note, there's also been a couple fourth downs. Like, you guys get a bunch of stops on third down, but even in the Utah State game,
right,
there's just those couple fourth downs that just kind of seem to keep them, you know, those teams alive.
Extend the drives. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's the third down. The third down is obviously every down's execution, but the third down, I mean, a lot of teams are going to do what they do on third down, and it's about our guys and them doing a great job of studying, understanding the situations and what the other teams have done in those situations, and obviously what our plan is, you know, and then we just talk about you plan your work and work your plan. So I think they've done a pretty good job studying. I think, you know, just doing some different things on third down excites them, and they get into it. It provides that energy. Now, obviously, on the third and shorts and the fourth and, you know, obviously shorts, that's a point of emphasis where we need to get better, and that's going to come up this week because they've done a great job, you know, in those situations.
Is there? Oh, sorry. Is there a game within the game on defense? And right before an offense snaps the ball, not that you're calling the play, you say something right before they snap it. I know Kyle Whittingham said something about that with Arizona. At BYU today was saying that, like, Boise State's defense might say something right before the snap, try to instigate a false start. Is there something like that exists? Or?
No, with the stem calls up front, I mean,
right,
and all that, in the shifting and of the D line. I mean, we've gone back and forth with the referees so much about it. We don't even say anything anymore. We stem, we move, just like the offense is going to shift. They're going to move their fullback, they're going to move their tight ends, and they're going to move around to switch the formation, you know, on us. So we're just doing the same thing. We don't even need to say anything up front. And here at home, you can't hear it anyway. So we've just gone away from saying anything at all.
You know, in the game on Saturday for 55 minutes, I mean, one of the storylines that had it been a 55-minute game would have been that you guys only allowed 3 points. And I'm just curious, after having that type of success, the onside kicks and stuff, I mean, did it feel like the bullets were flying there for the last few minutes? Or
they were flying from different directions too. There's no doubt it felt like that, you know. And it's just one of those deals that, you know, we talk to our guys, a great learning experience. It's not over until it's over. And we prepare, we do all the work, not only throughout the year, but every week it starts over, and it's such a grind to do it, man. Play the whole game. Play the whole game. You only get so many opportunities. You never know when that's going to be taken away from you. So we got to do a better job of finishing the game.
Is there, I mean, I know everybody'd like to go out 1 by 50 every week, but I mean, could there be a little bit of value of getting in a game like that, especially, you know, we talk about all the close games BYU has played.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, we definitely learned, you know, a ton from that game going forward in a hurry, obviously with the quick turnaround here. when we left that game, we said as coaches and obviously talking with the players, there were definitely things that we weren't just going to move on from, the things that we needed to fix and things we needed to address, for the next time we're in that situation so that we could be better.
How did
Go ahead.
how did Dylan do out there, and how much does he help getting him back in the fold for you guys?
Yeah, he did a solid job. Look, I've been messing with him about those fresh legs, and he's calling them happy legs. Just happy to be out there running around, and he's playing like that right now. Great energy, great attitude. Just got to keep building. Obviously, first game back for him, there's plenty of things that he could improve on.
Is this